I had rehearsed the sentence for the better part of a year before I said it. To the wash water, to the dark of the ceiling, to the back of my husband's coat as he went out to the barn. And when at last I said it to his face, my hands wrapped around a cup of coffee gone stone cold, I did not even reach the end of it. He answered before I had finished asking. And it was not the answer itself that broke something in me. It was how ready it was, how smooth and how practiced, like a stone already worn round by 100 other hands, long before mine ever touched it. I want to tell you about the morning I asked to be let out of my marriage, and the answer that was waiting before the whole question was even out of my mouth. It is only a woman at a kitchen table, saying the largest thing she has ever said in the smallest voice she owns. I still believed the question was mine alone, right up until the moment I asked it. Before I go on, stay a moment and sit with me. And down in the comments, tell me one small thing, for I read everyone. Has anyone in the world you grew up in ever had a ready answer waiting for you, calm and complete, before you had so much as finished the question? I ask that of every woman who finds this window for the first time. There is a little bell near this window, and if you ring it, I will know to call you back the next evening I have something to tell, for the things I say here are the things we are never permitted to say aloud among our own. Most women go very still when I ask them that, and then something moves behind their eyes, because there is a particular loneliness in learning that your hardest, most private question was worn smooth by other hands long before you ever thought to ask it. Here is what a plain people believe about a marriage, and I say it plainly and without heat. A marriage among us is not an agreement between two souls that either might one day undo. It is a covenant, made once before God and the whole gathered church, and it does not come apart, not for coldness, not for loneliness, not for a slow starving of the heart that leaves no mark anyone can point to. There is no word in all our life for the thing I was asking. And where there is no word for a thing, a woman soon learns there is also no door for it, only a long and patient hallway that all her asking is gently walked back down. And there is a name our people keep for a woman who reaches the end of that hallway still wanting out. They call it hardness of heart, the same name given to a wife who says the wrong small thing at her own table. I did not know, that gray morning, that I was about to have it laid on me. I have written all of this down, everything I was never able to say aloud in our district, in a small book. It is called A Quiet and Faithful Home, and if you look, there is a little code resting on your screen just now that you may scan, and it will open the book to you. I would like you to have it as my gift, freely, and let it be a comfort to you the way the writing of it was a comfort to me. There is no hurry about it at all. It will keep, but please do not go yet, for I have not told you yet what the bishop's ready answer turned out to be, nor how many visits it asked of me, nor the name of the older woman who had walked that same long hallway years before me, and who told me, at last, the one plain truth about where it ends. I still believe the question was mine alone, right up until I asked it. By that same afternoon, I already knew better. Let me tell you about my husband, and I will call him Jonas, for that was not his name. And here I must be even more careful than I usually am, because Jonas was not a cruel man, and this is not, in the end, a story about him at all. He never once raised his hand or his voice to me. He was not unfaithful. He was only absent in the way a house can be warm and lit and still be empty, present at every meal and somehow gone from every one of them, a good and dutiful man who had simply never learned that a wife might need more from a marriage than a sound roof and a good name and a full table. The thing I was slowly dying of had no bruise to show for it, and that, I would come to understand, was the very reason there was no answer waiting for it, but the one already worn smooth on the shelf. So on that gray morning I set his coffee down, and my own, and I sat, and I said the words I had worn smooth in my own mouth for a year. I said, Jonas, I do not think I can go on being married to, and I never reached the end of it." He did not shout. He did not so much as set his cup down hard. He looked at me a long moment, and then he said very quietly that he had wondered when it would come, and that I should speak to the bishop, because there was a way these things were handled, and it was not our way to handle them alone. There was a way these things were handled. That was the thing that undid me. Not anger, not refusal, but the calm of a man reaching for a procedure that had plainly been reached for many times before. The bishop came, as I had been told he would, and he was not unkind. That is the thing I keep having to say, because it is the truth, and because the truth is stranger than cruelty would have been. He sat at my table with his hat resting on his knee, and he did not scold me. He simply began, gently, to walk me down the hallway. There would be a season of waiting, he said, some months, no fewer, during which nothing at all was to be decided, and I was to pray, and keep my house, and let the feeling settle. There would be visits, he and one of the ministers, of an evening, to counsel with the both of us. And there would be, each time, a scripture ready for me, for hardness of heart, for the wife's calling, for the covenant that God himself has joined, one for every grievance I could think to name, as though each thing I had carried in alone for years had been answered and shelved long before I ever arrived to raise it. And so the visits came, one evening and then another, and I sat in my own front room while two men considered the matter of my marriage between them. They would ask me, kindly, to name what troubled me, to lay my grievances out plain, and I would try. The loneliness, the cold, the long years of being spoken to only about the weather and the stock, and for each thing I set down, a gentle answer was already waiting, a verse, a reminder of my calling, a soft word about the crosses a faithful woman is given to carry. I came to see there was no grievance I could raise that had not already been met and set quietly aside, long before I ever learned to speak it. A woman does not win an argument in a room where every answer to her was written before she came in the door. And that was when I understood the true shape of what was happening, and it took the breath clean out of me. This was not being decided as it went along. It had all been decided long ago. The waiting had a set length. The visits had an order. The scriptures had been chosen and worn soft with use. I had come to that table believing I was asking a question no one had ever heard before. And I was, instead, only the newest woman to walk into a room where the answer had been standing in the corner, patient and complete, since long before I was even a girl. I was not the first to ask it. I would not be the last. The only thing new in that whole room was me. But I have not told you yet about the older woman who found me at the wash line some weeks into that waiting, and what she said to me low, with her back half turned so that to any watcher it would look as though we spoke only of the weather. For what she told me was the one thing, I have come to believe, that the whole calm and gentle procedure was built to keep a woman from ever hearing. I will call her Esther, and she was near 60 then, and she had walked that same hallway more than 30 years before me, when she was younger than I was that day. She came and stood beside me at the line, and pinned up a shirt, and without turning her head she said, "They told you there is a way these things are handled." And I said that they had. And she said, "Yes, there is. It is a way built to run the clock out on a woman's courage, until she is too tired to want anything at all but the quiet." She said, "I asked once, the way you are asking now, and they were kind to me, so very kind, the whole long way, and by the end of all that kindness I could no longer remember what it was I had wanted, only that the wanting of it had made everyone so gently sorrowful." She looked at me then, straight on, only for a moment. She said, "I am not going to tell you to stay, child, and I am not going to tell you to go. I am going to tell you the one thing no one told me. The waiting is not empty. The waiting is the answer. They do not ever have to say the word no, so long as they can make the asking cost more than a woman has left to spend. And I understood, standing at that wash line with my hands gone still in the cold water, that the question had never once been new. Only I was new to it. The hallway had been swept and waiting my whole life long. All that was ever truly mine in the matter was that first, unworn breath of the asking, and even that, they had a gentle and practiced way of walking back down. Now I must be careful here, the same careful I am always careful, because it would be an easy thing to lay all of this at the bishop's door, and his door is not the right one either. He offered me the only thing his whole life had ever handed him to offer, a procedure he believed, with his whole heart, to be a mercy, a way of keeping a frightened woman from tearing apart the one covenant he had been taught is the very floor the world stands on. Jonas sent me to him because his own father would have sent his mother to him. Esther kept her voice low at the wash line because she had learned, 30 years before, exactly what it costs to say such a thing where it can be overheard. It is not any one soul's sin. It is the water we were all of us born swimming in, a long line of good and frightened people guarding a beautiful and dangerous idea, that the keeping of a vow matters more than the life of the one who must keep it. And a fish cannot hate the water. That is the very hardest kind of wrong there is to name. So this is what I do now, and it is a small thing, and it is the largest thing I know how to hand anyone. When a young wife stands near me with that particular stillness of a woman rehearsing a sentence she has not yet dared to say aloud, I do not tell her to stay, and I do not tell her to go. I tell her the thing Esther told me at the wash line. I say, if ever you come to ask the large question, know before you walk in that the waiting they will give you is not empty time. It is the answer, only dressed in the clothes of patience. Do not mistake their kindness for an open door, nor let them run the clock out before you know what you were trying to say. Know your own question and keep it, whatever in the end you decide. They cannot walk it back down the hallway if you simply refuse to forget it. And to you, whoever you are, wherever this quiet finds you tonight, I want to say 3 things before I go. If you are a woman who asked the largest question of her life and heard it answered before she had finished asking, met not with anger, but with a calm so practiced it told you plainly you were only the latest to ask, I see you, and the loneliness of that is real, and you were not wrong to feel the floor go out from under you. If you are a woman still rehearsing the sentence, saying it to the wash water and the dark ceiling, and to no living soul at all, I see you too, and the sentence is not a sin for being in your mouth, and you are allowed to know what you want, even where there is no word for it. And if you are a woman who asked, and was told no, and stayed, and has carried it quietly ever since, hear me most of all, you were not weak. You were worn down by a thing built over long years to wear a woman down, and there is no shame in that, none at all, only my company in it. I wish someone had told me sooner that the hallway was there, and long, and swept smooth, before ever I set my foot inside it believing it a door. No one told me. I found it the way Esther found it, one worn step at a time. And so I have become the woman who tells the young ones the shape of the hallway before they walk in, while the telling can still be of some use. I will not tell you tonight how my own waiting ended. That is a thing I am still inside of, a story I am still living even as I sit down at the window to tell it. But I know the shape of it now, and to know the shape of a thing is the beginning of no longer being lost inside it. Tell me in the comments, so the other women will know they are not the only one. Has anyone ever had a ready answer waiting for you before you had even finished asking your question? I read everyone, and I answer where I can. And the little book, A Quiet and Faithful Home, is waiting for you still, in the pinned comment and in the code there on your screen. My gift, whenever you would like it. Ring the little bell before you go, so I will know to call you back, and stay a while near this window. Sit at this window with me again. There is always more of the story than one evening can hold.